Dawson Rider Wiki.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Time for my review for the Power Rangers Beast Morphers Season 2 premiere, our second season that isn't a super season. It's effectively the same type of season. You know, there's not a whole lot that changed. I don't think that the name Super being in front of the other seasons was affecting it that much. But obviously there's a little bit less pressure to make this feel super new, like, oh, we gotta justify why this is called Super, because that had mixed results in the previous seasons. So there is that. I thought it was a very solid episode. I enjoyed it. It didn't knock my socks off because my feet were cold and I wanted to keep them on. Like, I thought it was decent. I didn't think it was anything game-changing. Felt like just another episode, but I thought it was a solid start. There wasn't a whole lot of big answers to any big changes for this season, which I don't think there will be. But mainly talking about Blaze and Roxy and stuff, we did get a little bit about them, which I'll mention right off the bat because that happened pretty early in the episode. We did find out that, you know, they're still good guys, obviously, and as far as we can tell, there's nothing shady going on with them yet, because we know there's going to be Robo Blaze and Robo Roxy, but we don't know exactly how that's going to come about. But Blaze is sparring with, I almost said Ravi. I did say Ravi. I don't mean Ravi. Sparring with Devin at the beginning of the episode. It's kind of a nice echo of the first episode where they fought and Blaze was very antagonistic to him and showing the changing relationship. A little bit forced though, because like when they're done, Blaze says, oh, you're a good sparring partner or something, and Devin's like, you're a good friend. See guys? Get it? He's changed. He's nice now. So I thought it was a nice little callback to show how the situation's changed, but I definitely wanted to know more. I didn't certainly expect them to spend the whole first episode on Blaze, but mainly with Blaze because in the first episode, Blaze was a bit of a douche, detective douche, and Roxy was nice, because Roxy's always the best, even when she's evil. I'm Team Roxy, but, you know, that was clear, kind of like Jared in Jungle Fury, except with Jared, like, they went on later to show why he was the way that he was. They didn't just pretend like he was nice the whole time. So, again, it's the first episode, but we did establish that, and then Roxy is with Ravi now. They're together, so that's solved. And, you know, in the finale, they were with Grid Battle Force, but when the Rangers get called in for training, they don't join them, obviously, because it's not Ranger training. But I presume they're both with Grid Battle Force in some way, because they were ranked highly enough to be Rangers, and then, you know, an accident forced the other Rangers to, well, become Rangers. I'll get into something with that at the end that has nothing to do necessarily with the episode, but we found out what happened to them there. Basically, the Rangers are going in for training, and during the training, Nate pulls in this random new weapon that I don't recognize it. It doesn't seem to have anything to do with anything we know about from Go Busters. It doesn't look like anything we know about from the new weapons from the US creations, so, but it's messed up. I'm not sure what that was about, whether it was just meant to be funny or something. It seems like it's going to lead to something more. Maybe something with why Nate messed up on it. I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird, but mainly because I would expect to see something either that we know about from the Sentai footage, or, you know, Toy Fair's happening right now and we're getting like all the official looks at the toys for the new season stuff that we're creating. So, and it had nothing to do with that. And except for, you know, the camera and goggle weapons, most of the stuff have an animal motif to it, and this thing was more tech-based, so I thought that was interesting. But anyway, they're training, and then Steel comes up and is like, I have evidence that Scrozzle and Evox are back, and nobody believes him, and he has like evidence about like all the conspiracy theories that are generic, like Bigfoot and Loch Ness, and I don't know what I think is funny. Bigfoot's real. They don't believe him. So he kind of tricks them into saying, oh, let's just go for a run in the woods, no reason, and they go, and then we lead into the preview clip where they're in the woods, and he kind of tricks them to going on their ranger training the next day to prove them that Scrozzle's there, but they still don't believe him. He kind of storms off, and then while they're searching for him, they do run into Scrozzle doing his plans of stealing morph-x, and then they fight him, and there's a red Drillatron, which I don't remember if it's from the Sentai footage or not. But it kind of reminds me of how, I feel like Drillatron's been really present for some reason, and it kind of reminds me of how that ice monster in Dino Charge showed up every 45 seconds. But they're fighting, they get in a bit of a pinch, but Steel rescues them in a pretty cool Instamorph sequence. They are using that stunt Steel that has like the flat face, which I thought was kind of funny. And then we kind of get into the end fight, which I thought was pretty solid. This was mostly original footage, which I appreciate because it looks crisper. Always cool to see. Some Sentai footage too, obviously, but you had Devin fighting underground after a Giga drone landed, and then Ravi was trying to keep the mega putties, I forget the name already, the Giga faces, I don't remember, but he was trying to keep them off of the crane, which lowered Devin down, while Steel and Zoe took care of the civilian fight. And then at one point, Nate threw one of the robots into another episode of Sentai footage and fought them there, but I thought it was some pretty solid action, and it continued something which I appreciate, which is comes from the Sentai footage, but something I appreciate about both series is that we get to see more individual fights from the Zords. It's not just, hey, in the first episode, here's all the individual Zords, and then we never get to see them work on their own again, so I do appreciate that. And then at the end, they basically are just like, yeah, Evox is back, we gotta keep on our toes, we don't know how, and then you end on a bit with Ben and Betty, so it's just like a return to the status quo. It does just feel like an average everyday episode. There is a little bit of stuff with Mayor Daniels, who we know is infected at the end, or at the end of last season, and he's been helping spread morph-x throughout the world, and he seems to have little time to hang out with Devin anymore, so either it's like he doesn't know he's infected, and it's like a split personality where he just suddenly, kind of like Trent, I mean, I guess Trent knew something was wrong with him, but, you know, where Evox just takes over and he doesn't have any control, or he might be corrupted and has control over changing it. We don't know, but that's definitely an interesting wrinkle. I kind of like I said, I would have wanted to know more about Blaze and Roxy. I feel like this is a classic situation where something is hampered by Sentai footage, because I feel like, realistically, you know, I don't know if they would, I mentioned, you know, at the end of my season review, like, I wonder if they would want to bring Blaze and Roxy back as Yellow and Red, because that would make sense, wouldn't it? And people brought up, like, yeah, Devin and Zoe are already bonded with the DNA, and we don't know if they can unbond it like an Energem or something. But, setting that aside, the idea of them briefly replacing the Rangers, realistically, if I were Grid Battle Force, I would make them new Ranger suits. Then you have 7 Rangers, Blaze and Roxy were already in position to get the promotion, but I guess during times of peace, which they thought they were in, you wouldn't have much need for it. But logically it would make sense, but it's one of those things where, like, you can't really do it unless you want to go way outside the Sentai footage. But I'm definitely curious to see what happens with them. It was definitely nice to touch on a bit of where they were, but I'm eager to find out exactly what their role in the rest of the season is going to be, among other things. But I thought it was a solid first start. Nothing groundbreaking. It didn't really give a whole lot of insight into things that are going to be different this season, just kind of a return to the status quo. There was definitely some classic Justice for B-Spots content in here with them not believing in Steel. Like, seriously, it's kind of like, you know, a bit Justice for B-Spots, but it comes out of this real honest truth of, like, they really don't treat the B-Spots with that much respect very often. And I felt like it annoyed me a bit that they didn't even remotely consider the possibility that Evox could be back, just on a security level. Like, you have one of your Rangers saying this might be a possibility, even if there's like an 80% chance it's not true. Would you not want to look into it? I feel like they should have established that he had been doing this for a month or for months and there had been no evidence. And so that would have made sense. They're like, Steel, you've been on this for months, there's no evidence. But he just brought it up and they're like, oh, come on, son, and don't believe him. So it bothered me on a Justice for B-Spots level, but just, it made no logical sense, and it was like irresponsible for them to not want to check into it. But anyway, solid start. I would give it an 8. I'm looking forward to more. Certainly looking forward to see more of the unique plot points of this season happening. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy the Season 2 premiere? Are you looking forward to seeing more Beast Morphers? What do you want to see develop in Season 2 outside of, you know, stuff we already know, like the Dino team out? Anyway, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps, ring that bell so you get notifications from my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.